Little Maya, this is my niece here. Maya, say hi to the camera. Say, come on. Maya's got a new ATV here. We're going to do a little walk around on it. But she's just checking it out for the first time. Just picked this up for her. Maya's a little camera shy, so we're going to get her off and we're going to do a little walk around. What's going on, guys? Joe from Odyssey Off-Road here. As you've seen, my little niece on her new ATV. This is kind of an impromptu video, so my brother just picked this up today for her. He's got some, we're over at his house in his garage, and you can see he's got some ATVs too. We've done some videos on the Renegade. He's got back there the 1000 XXC videos. That's that machine back there. That's my brother's. Then my other niece has the Outlaw 110, same as my son's. And then my sister-in-law's got the Can-Am Outlander 570. We're going to be doing a video on that versus the Renegade 570 that my wife has. So you guys can stay tuned for that one. But for today, we're going to talk about the Outlaw 70. So this is kind of a new thing from Polaris. They originally, before the Outlaw 110 EFI, they used to have an Outlaw 90, which is carbureted, and then they had an Outlaw 50. They both looked like the 110 over there, you know, that type of styling, but they had a 50 and a 90. Now, a few years back, they moved up to the Outlaw 110 with fuel injection, and then last year they changed and even redesigned. This is 100% redesigned from the old 50. It's now an Outlaw 70 with total new plastics, and you have fuel injection. So it's really neat. It's kind of modeled after like a Scrambler almost, the body style. And I'll turn the key on here for you. You can see this thing's got LED lights. Really, really cool. Now the lights are not on. Let me get them on there. There we go. So you can see it's got LED lighting on this thing. Really, really, really cool thing. It's only $2,400 this machine, plus tax and all that stuff. We got a pretty good deal on it. Paid a little over $3,000 out the door for it. So very good deal for this. You get a lot of machine for your money with this. Prior to this, she did have an ATV, but it was a KO, one of those. It was a Chinese brand, KO 70, Fox 70. And it was all right, I guess, at first for her to start out and see if she was even really into it. It's a rather cheap and expensive machine, but the quality is just not there. So my brother really wanted to get rid of that and get her into something a little more quality and better built, something that's going to last her. So now she's got this, and her sister's got the 110. So a little walk around. You see it's got LED lights. It's got a fuel gauge on it. It's a mechanical fuel gauge. So it's got a float on the bottom of the cap. So you'll see when you take the cap off, it's got a float in there. And then it'll tell you when you're running low. Right now we're at a nice full tank they gave us with. You got the tether kill switch here. Brakes are all in one, so you can just single lever. There's also a foot lever. So I think the way she tends to use it, she'll probably be using the hand lever more, a little more comfortable for her. But you got about 4 inches of ground clearance on this thing, which is pretty similar to the 110. It's actually advertised as a ½ inch more. It looks fairly similar. You see the rear axle setup is a little bit unique. It's not your traditional sport quad rear axle. It's more like a utility quad, the way they have it set up in the rear, with a bearing on each side, and then you have your disc brake there. And then the chain kind of comes in the center with your sprocket. But the chain guard is metal, so it's pretty solid. I tell you, we took this thing out of the truck, my brother and I, and it's quite heavy. It's got to be at least pushing 300 pounds. So it's definitely a solid machine. I don't have all the specs on that here for you, but we can get those at a later video. And then you'll see here, it even comes with a whip flag holder. It is plastic, but it does work. We put a whip flag in it. You stick it through there, tighten it down. Even if this one were to fail on you, you can replace this with a metal one. The hole's already through. Really quick too, guys, also the ATV comes with, now Polaris has been doing this for years, even with the Outlaw 50s and 90s, back when they first started making the youth ATVs. They give you a helmet and a whip flag with it. So that whip flag mount that's on there, well, this whip flag fits right in there. You know, and it's a standard quarter inch whip flag, so you can use any whip flag in there. But they do give you one, it says Polaris on it. And then they're giving you a nice helmet. The helmet that they used to give you had an adjustable chin guard. This is all nice one-piece solid helmet here. It's a really nice helmet they give you with it, with the bike. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, it's really like a whole package. If your kid has never ridden before, you're going to get a helmet and a whip flag and the ATV, you don't got to buy nothing. You're ready to go, you know. So I think that's pretty cool. Already through the plastic, and it's all ready to go. It's got a little rack on it. The rack says you can hold 25 pounds. The metal grab bar kind of comes underneath the rear of it, and then the center is just plastic, so that's hence why you can only hold 25 pounds. But it's still pretty neat, you know what I mean, for a kid's ATV. Strap a little cooler back there, or a jacket or something if you're out riding. Put a little bungee over it, and a little storage bag.
278.
278. Dry. That's dry weight. So with gas in it, oil, you're probably pushing, you know.
290.
There you go, 290. You heard it. So I was pretty close. It felt heavy. The KO is super light. Picking that up and putting it in a truck. So this is a few pounds lighter than the 110 then. So it's a very solid built machine. You can see the suspension on it. It actually does work. It's got about 4 inches of suspension travel. And then you see the engine here. It's pretty much an all new design underneath there. You have a breather for the CVT right here. I mean, maintenance on this thing should be very easy. You can see a drain plug right there. I'm not sure if that's for the transmission or the oil, but everything should be fairly easy to work on. It's got a full metal skid plate on here. That's one thing that the 110 lacks, is skid plates. This has got a full metal skid plate, and then you got all your access holes there, access points, spots for mud and water to run out when you're washing it. Got a nice steel bumper, attaches right to the frame. And this is a cool feature here. If you're not using it a lot, which a lot of kids' ATVs aren't, right? Let's face it. You can just put your battery tender, plug it right in there, and plug it in. You don't got to take the plastics off or the seat to get to your battery. It's really a nice little machine, and she's thrilled with it. It's got a little horn. Got a little horn right there. When it's on, it's pretty loud actually. So definitely a nice machine. I would say if your kid's not ready for a 90 or a 110, this is a little bit smaller in the sense that the handlebars are lower. So if you would put this right next to the 110, seat height is fairly similar, but the handlebar reach is the problem when you have the young ones. They don't really have that reach to be able to turn and make a nice sharp turn. The handlebars are way further away from you and higher on the 110s and the 90s. This is nice and close and tight to her. She can maneuver the machine. We let her try it out here on the street and ride a couple loops, and she wasn't really an issue for her at all. The throttle setup is a little different than your traditional ATVs. So I'll show you how that works on here. Is you'll see there's not much throttle give right now. It's set up from the factory to go at about 10 miles an hour max, and there's really only about a half inch to play on the throttle. You'll see the screw is missing that you typically will see here, like over on the 110s. And most ATVs traditionally have the screw to stop the throttle, and you just set that in or out. On this machine, the way it is set up is the throttle stop is actually down by the throttle body, which is under here. It's right there. So when you pull the lever, you'll see the cable move there on the end. Now to give it more throttle cable, you loosen that nut and just thread this all the way in so that the cable has more play and it doesn't stop. It's at the furthest out point right now from the factory. So we'll probably have to, once we bring her someplace that's like sandy or what have you, you're gonna need a little more throttle there, and we'll have to probably put that in there give her a little more throttle. And really, honestly, the best thing for your kid is to give them the throttle and just monitor them, because learning throttle control is the best way for your kids to learn. If you just restrict it and don't give them any throttle to use, they're just going to get in the habit of being on the gas and off the gas. They're not going to learn throttle control. So that's what you really want to teach your young ones, throttle control. When to back off, when to just give it a little bit of throttle. So this is a quick little walk around here on this. It's a new machine. It's fairly new to the market. It's only been out it was out last year. I think it came out in 2022. They introduced this model. And this is a 2022 model, I believe, right, Chris? So the 2023s I don't think are going to be available till December, but same thing. This is the first model year of this. I haven't seen any in person until this one. It's a really nice machine. I highly recommend that if you guys are going to get your kids into something small and you want something with fuel injection because you're worried about the carburetor getting, plugged up and cleaning the jets out and all that, and you don't want to get involved in that, you want something fuel injected, you really have this option here. And then Can-Am's got the new Renegade 70 coming out here by December for 2023. It's going to be similar size to this, also a 70cc machine, and it's fuel injected. Yeah, that one's a little bit more money for what they're advertising it. And if they're coming out around Christmas, around the holidays, you probably ain't going to get much of a deal at that point. You'll have to wait. But these machines, these youth machines, are all made in Taiwan anyway. They're not actually made by Polaris or Can-Am. They're just kind of rebranded. But they're very quality built machines. If they're putting a name on them, it's not like getting a Chinese machine. Those things are pretty much junk. I would stay away from those. You can get a pretty good deal on this one here, as we did. We paid a little over $3,000 out the door, brand new. So you really can't beat that, in my opinion. This machine will last her for many years. She's a tiny kid. And then once she is ready to move up, she'll move up to the 110, and her older sister will bump up to like a 250 or something at that point. But she'll get plenty of years of use out of this. It's fuel injected. She could start it herself. That's the other thing, too, while we're on the topic of starting. It is a little bit different than your standard machine. So on this, instead of having a push button start on most ATVs, it's almost like a side-by-side. So you're going to pull in the brake and then turn it and let go of the key, and it'll start. I'll give you a little example here. So you can hear it running. Car's right up. Even got a nice little exhaust note. It sounds good. Doesn't smoke. Still got that new ATV smell. Nothing like that. So no gears, no forward, reverse, neutral. It's just like most 50cc machines are. You can only go forward with it. You give it the throttle and that's it. There's no shifting. Like the 50cc Yamaha YFZ 50 is very similar. It's just start it and go. There's no reverse. Once you bump up to the 90s and 110s, then you're going to get some gears. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this is a little informative. This is a great little machine here for your kids if you're starting out. They don't have much experience, but they're around 5, 6 years old, and they want to get on something that's safe. This has got a nice wide wheelbase. It's a little bit bigger than your 50, but it's not quite as big as your 90s and your 110, so it's kind of an in-betweener. And it's fuel injected. You really can't go wrong with the fuel injection, in my opinion. So much better when you go change, especially when you ride in different areas, different altitudes. You don't got to worry about rejetting or running too rich, running too lean. It's just the fuel injection is the way to go. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on the next one.